This kind of marginally affects the things that the board is involved in, like Don, the comprehensive plan. But when the Planning Commission received the request from H&K to change the zoning to extraction on parcel 46, I'm wondering why they felt compelled to send it right away to the Bucks County Planning Commission.
Because they're legally required to do that.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, but here's what the Planning Commission said that really bothers us who live here. They said, they took a look and they said, oh, these parcels are really large, residential parcels surrounding the proposed zoning change, and it won't make much difference. They also said that the comprehensive plan should consider rezoning all quarry-owned parcels to extraction. Now, I know that Don's on that committee, and I think John's on that committee, and that's very alarming. So I just want everyone to be aware of this fact.
Okay.
The Bucks County Planning Commission said
Right.
that.
Not West Rockhill.
Not West
Right,
Rockhill.
I said Bucks County
Okay,
Planning
thanks.
Commission said that.
Yeah, because we didn't mention anything about
Right.
Marsh property.
Okay.
So I just want people to be aware of the pressure that's coming from a body that doesn't even govern us. You know, I'm sure it's over our own planning commission, but our own planning commission knows better about who lives here and what we need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Next, anybody else with public comment?
Denise Rogers, 1595 Lower Rockhill Road.
Could you stand up, Mrs. Rogers,
Sorry.
please?
I just wanted to add a little bit to Michelle's talk about the reclamation.
Mm-hmm.
I started to do a little research and found, I know that at the Planning Commission meeting, Chris mentioned on the development that they want to put up on Rich Hill Road there, near that area. He mentioned, losing my thoughts, sorry, that there were big concerns there with the traffic. And that you wanted to know from the developer what Richland Township was doing, what they were thinking. Okay? And I believe that's a good policy. We're all smaller townships around here. And I think listening to each other and finding out the mistakes, you know, that this person, this municipality made, you know, so you don't make the same ones. That's just smart. I found that in Hilltown Township, which also has an HK, Quarry, their original agreement had a specific reclamation, I guess, resolution in there. In 2005, they came back and went to the township. And as I read through the document, which I have here, and I'll email it to any of you, that it kind of appeared after I was reading through it that as H&K went on, they realized that they wanted more time to extract, and that's fine. But then they also wanted to amend at that time their reclamation promise in a document that was originally agreed upon. So I think that there begins. I didn't search a whole lot further than that. I have a job. I choir missing tonight, but I will do some more research to find other H&K times that they have come back and changed the agreement. All right, it's as if these agreements, and they're not to benefit the people of the community. They don't come back and say, oh gee, you know, we've really dug far. You know, I think we're just going to dig for 5 more years. They don't do that. So what I'm saying is that in that document, the reclamation was hardly anything at what they started out with. Because I believe that as a business owner, they start projecting out and they're saying, okay, if we're not going to be generating a whole lot of stone out of that quarry at some point in time, we're not going to be making as much money, all right? So their idea became, oh, we'll make it a 10-acre lake. And we'll make it an average depth of 30 feet. Well, the depth of the quarry now is much deeper than I would ever want to see. And we know how averages work. You can have 5 feet all the way around this 10 acres that's 2 feet deep, and the center of it is 100 feet deep, okay? To me, that's a big hazard. And ultimately, in the end, that township, and I don't know who made that decision, but ultimately they are saying, you will have to take over caring for this lake, okay? So I just want to caution that you will take those things, those experiences, and do that research. And we say, everybody says there's no decisions been made, and I am thrilled to hear that. Please, before any decision even crosses your mind, go and look for those things. Go and look for that research. I'll do it. I'll send some to you. I would be glad to do that. Because that's all I really have to say, particularly on that. I did want to know, I did write a letter to each of you and to most of the people on the Planning Commission. Did any of you have a response to that letter? Did you see that letter?
I got the letter, I do not have a response to it.
It was very general,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm hoping that, I think that I represent many of my neighbors on Lower Rockydale Road. And the hard part for us with this whole issue is that as it stands now, the way the quarry is right now, we've always been that little bit outside that zone of influence. Yet we're influenced. We see it, we hear it. We have the dust, we see the trucks. We're influenced big time. So I would hope that as you're sitting here in front of us, I'm representing a whole neighborhood. I will try to get more of them here, except for Frank, he's here with us. And I don't know, he'll look around. But to really consider that, yes, you did take an oath to think about the people in the township and where is West Rockhill going out to the future. I'm going to try to come to those comprehensive plan meetings because I guess that's the only way that you can really keep people knowing how your constituents really feel about this. I have one question for Mary, going way back to the beginning of the meeting, and this is not, I didn't write down specific words, but I got the idea that as you were talking to Bob, and the property that they did the deed restriction, took it out or whatever, it seemed to say that the private property owner supersedes zoning ordinance. Is that logical from your comments on we can't control what the property owner did there?
No, that's not what I said at all. They operate on just two parallel planes. Mr. Rambo was asking whether or not they had the legal ability to remove that restriction. Yes, they did have the legal ability to remove the restriction, but that doesn't supersede zoning. They can remove the restriction, but they still have to get zoning approvals, DEP approvals. None of that stuff goes away because of the transaction between the two private property owners.
So when Michelle kind of asked what can our board and what can our planning commission do for us, we have that protection then because we have ordinances. We have the zoning set already. So that should be as simple to me.
They've come for a zoning ordinance change, right?
Correct.
So,
but we have that power at this point in time to say, this is our zoning. We've done that to protect our people here. So that's my plea to you to.
They have to
stand
comply with
fast to
zoning,
that,
yes.
To stand fast to that. There were other comments that came through, and I thought, gee, we're worrying about the poles going up for the cellular. But we're saying we don't have to worry because we have an ordinance for that, even though they're coming in. So
well, I didn't say not to worry about the polls because we had the ordinance. I think just the opposite.
well, that they couldn't do, that they shouldn't be doing it
That,
because we have the ordinance. I don't think I misinterpreted the wording that much, but it's fine. I'm not.
okay,
putting
you don't,
mince words here.
you don't care so
But
much about the polls,
it's-
so I won't go on and
My
on
point-
about the
My point
polls.
being is if we're going to be adamant about our zoning ordinances applying to that issue, which highly does not have the huge impact. Yes, it has an impact. I don't like them, but there are benefits to it. We have good cell connections. I don't think that in my conversations with my neighbors, most people in this room, that anybody has pointed out a real benefit that expanding this extraction area would give to our community.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your letter also.
Linda Marks, 710,000 Acre Road. When you were talking about working with Richland Township about the development, are we working with, is it Southford Township on the other side of County Line Road regarding the effects of this quarry on them? Yes.
We sent out all the notices to all the surrounding municipalities and to the Plymouth School District.
All the notices for,
Every surrounding municipality. Under the law, we have to get out notices within 45 days. And they were all notified about the zoning.
okay. I just didn't know how much, like, they have to work together on a simple housing development. You know, this has been going on for 50 years in both of these communities.
They have been given notice in all the surrounding townships. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Kathy Gerhardt.
Kathy Gerhardt.
17,000 Acre. I just wanted to give you a little history about our well. We've been living in our place for 25 years now. We live, back end of our property is the proposed expansion, right up to it. Okay, in 2005, our well went dry. Our water was delicious back then. Your water went dry. Loved it. Now, H&K had to re-drill our well. It is now 227 feet. After the drilling, they had some testing done and found iron bacteria. We still have iron bacteria since 2005. For the first part of that, for the first year, they gave us a water cooler with bottled water. After the 1 year, and after we probably had it tested a couple times by H&K and ourselves, they stopped giving us bottled water, told it's our responsibility now. We have been buying bottled water since. On top of that, well, since then, the 2016 meeting in December, when the proposal of the firehouse was talked about, my husband stepped up and mentioned the issues that we have with our well. We have the iron bacteria still. We have the lovely smell. It's horrible. Sometimes I feel like I go to work smelling like this, because there's no other way of getting a shower without using that. And we have sludge and particles coming through the water. We have 2 filters that we use before it even goes into our water system. So there's 2 filters, and those are filled probably once a month. We empty them out, clean them out, and change it. It's sludge. So after the meeting, H&K came out to our place and tested our well again. They did not give us any of the results from the testing. We asked for them. They said they would give them to us. Asked them again at the open house that we had. Promised we would get the results again. Still have not had it. Still do not see it. Since then, they have installed an iron bacteria or an iron breaker and a water softener into our place. It is now our responsibility on top of buying water, and now it's our responsibility to buy salt for the water softener. We would have never had a water softener in our place. And we still don't drink it. In addition to that, I said we were buying water. We had a farmer also using our property, renting our property, we were actually just letting him use it. He farmed it for 3 years. The back end of our property, those where the quarry is looking to put their expansion in. For 3 years, he lost 1/3 of his property, his crops, because of the water runoff and whatever was in that water. He lost all the crops back in that back section. Just wanted to throw that out there. He is no longer farming our property. He stopped that right away. losing money left and right, and it's not gonna get tenure. We have not asked anyone to farm it since then. Just wanted to lay it out there, and I say no for it, extension, please.
Thank you for your comments.
Bob Rambo, Simmons Road. Are we under any time frame obligation?
Are
Not
we,
that
Mary?
I'm aware
I don't
of.
think so.
I'm sorry, yes or no?
Yes and no.
Okay.
There's a time period set forth in the municipality's planning code, but there's no deemed approval. So since this is a legislative action as opposed to an adjudicative action, and there's no deemed approval for failing an act in time, if the municipality, and we're not anywhere close to complying with the time requirement, doesn't, then the applicant would have to go to court to order the township to make a decision. In the real world, that works out to mean that nobody applying for a zoning ordinance has ever done that, because if you have to go to court to compel a municipality to make a decision, you probably are not going to get a favorable decision. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Based upon that, then we have another 3 months, 6 months, Mary? I mean,
No, I think you're probably 8 months over. I think you're supposed to make a decision within 60 days or something. It's a pretty tight time period, but as I said, practically speaking, you're not bound by it. There's no, if you don't make a decision in a zoning hearing board application or on a land development plan, there's a deemed approval provision. There is no deemed approval provision.
and one of the reasons I asked that.
Way
is
too
that
technical, sorry.
When you read through their application and you start to peel back these statements that they've made and so forth, we've talked to some experts, and some of the facts in that application may not be correct. And I'd like to know what the process is that we will, as residents, have to challenge some of the statements that they've made and some of the bases that they used to submit their application. Because some of it, quite frankly, is bogus.
The Board of Supervisors couldn't amend the zoning ordinance without having public hearings. And I know you've had public meetings, and I know there's been planning commission meetings that have been open to the public. They had the meeting at Tyler's Port, at least one, maybe two, I was at one. But public hearing is different, and that requires legal notice and notice to people who may be affected by the application and things like that. So there would be a public hearing with the opportunity for full comment.
Are we planning on having a public hearing?
That's up to the board. Sometimes, and I'm speaking in general, sometimes boards decide just to let applications die without even having a public hearing on it. Sometimes they have public hearings and make the decision then. I don't know what this board's going to do.
You said they can let the application die. But is that what you said?
Yeah, if whether or not the board decides to schedule a public hearing on this matter is up to them. They have not made a decision or indicated whether they will make a decision to have a public hearing.
Well, in my opinion, it would be beneficial to the residents and to the board to have a public hearing so that maybe the other side of some of the facts that Nashville has submitted can be looked at a little closer.
I'll repeat this. The board could not change the zoning without having a public hearing.
Good. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes.
A little self-promotion, if you don't mind.
Name and address, please.
Sue Furlong, West Rockhill Township, Mark Road. If you want to see the video so that you can share it with people that maybe couldn't come to the meeting tonight, I post these on YouTube. My channel is PTG space Penn, PENNTAX G-R-O-U-P, Penn Tax Group. So it's PTG space Penn Tax Group. I will post it tonight. It looks like it's going to be in 3 parts. I might not get it finished until tomorrow morning, but you would be able to go there and view this and then share that, the link, or links, since it looks like 3 parts here, with friends of yours who are interested but could not make it tonight.
Okay, that being said, I will enter, oh, I'm sorry. John?
John Swartuck, 715 Ridge Valley Road.
Yes.
This is not Quarry related. Through the course of the meetings the last couple of months, it's regular that Jeff Markley's name gets mentioned, and always in a favorable light. I asked the township to consider some sort of more permanent memorial to Jeff, plaque, name the snack bar after him over at the pool, something so that there's more of a lasting memory of Jeff and his contribution.
We thank you for that comment, and we'll definitely be doing something. As you know, Jeff Markley's name is back on that citizens plaque at the back of the room there. And I think that if you read the newsletter, I shared my concerns greatly. When I started out on the Planning Commission 24 years ago, Jeff was on the Planning Commission for already 20 years. And he has been an instrumental part of this community, and we will all miss him. He had a great wealth of knowledge. Experience, you can't replace experience. And the man was truly a dedicated citizen of this township. So I thank you for your comments on that.
And the Joint Rec Authority is also looking into some things we're going to do over at the pool for Jeff, so thank you.
John, next meeting I will put forth a proposal, several proposals to accomplish the concept that you're talking about.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment into executive session.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion's been made.
Second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your comments.
Suzanne,